practice. Slanju, y'all, welcome. Supposed to turn that off before the reel started. Hey, everybody, it is Third Tuesday. I'm Leanne. This is Scotch on the Bayou. We might fly off the rails tonight. Who knows? Because yeah, it's been a week and it's only Tuesday. I hope your day is going well. At least you're here with us and gonna have a good time today. I see Sugar Kitty is hello and meow to you, my friend. Good to see you. And Kim Roderick, Jim, who is one of our patrons. Hello, my friend. Good to see you with his, of course, also member, Gator, member of the channel. So thanks for being here and always supporting. Pretty stoked about some things that we've got coming up. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I can already tell. I need some more water. Hang on. And as the trooper is in, we are going to have to do something about this trooper. So you're not offshore, thankfully. That's really good. But you never had Balblair. Oh, it's such a, I would describe it as a quintessential Highland Scotch. So we'll have to do something about that for sure, trooper. You bet. Jimmy Jazz is in. Hello, my friend. Another Camp Drammer. He's a big cat. If you don't know, we've launched Patreon and we've got some really fun levels of support. We've got the swamp gators, we've got big cats, which are catfish, and the mud bugs. And so it's a lot of fun, playing with that. Plus, my uber talented brother did some super graphics. So check that out if you feel like you want to support the channel that way, or many of you are still channel members here through YouTube. So we appreciate all of that support. Molasses is in. Lovely. Good to see you too, friend. And then see Chris. Everwind is in. Peter is here. Hello. Good to see everyone. So yeah, our show's coming back. We've had some guests. We had, if you missed the last live 2 weeks ago, my buddy Kevin was here with a whole herd of unicorns. And had some incredible drams that we had shared from closed distilleries. Some of them are getting reboots like Brora and Port Ellen and Rosebank, and others are just gone. I mean, like, ain't there no more gone. So it was really interesting to be able to actually sip history, if you will. So check that out if you haven't watched it already. And speaking of history, we're kind of winging it without Mark tonight because Mark is actually in England. And he is on his little trip. People laugh about how we each go on vacations by ourselves. And I would say there's a reason we've been married this long. But he is digging for history. He's actually doing a metal detecting trip in England and is having an absolute blast. So if you hear the dogs bark, ain't nobody going to be taking care of them. They're just going to have to be barking until we're finished in an hour. So thanks for your patience on that. It's it's going to be fun. It really will. But yeah, so back to tonight, and it's just me, no guests tonight. We've had lots of guests, but what I wanted to do, I'm almost embarrassed to say how long I've been sitting on these samples, because my buddy Mike Highfield, who you all may know is a friend of the Scotch for Dummies channel up in Indiana, is an absolute Balblair fiend. He's traditionally and he might be on tonight, he might pop in. He's traditionally a bourbon guy. He likes his bourbon. Got hold of some Balblair and just ran with it. And he went down a rabbit hole to where he was just seeking out any Balblairs he could find. And really, even these vintage ones we'll talk about in a minute, they're still out there. There's still some places retail wise that you don't have to necessarily get them on auction, but I mean, they're getting harder and harder to find, but they're out there. So what I wanted to do is kind of look at The vintage ones, meaning, they're named for the year that the distillate came off the still and that they were put in a cask, versus the new way they're doing things in age statements. And we'll get into why and who, what, where. And I'm really looking forward to opinions on this. So, as you know, when it's just me, I want everybody chatting and everybody talking. There's such a wealth of knowledge in the chat that we just always learn from everybody else. So, yeah, see who else? Oh, I see this guy too. Look at you. Hey, time for a dram. Good to see you too, friend. Thank you for being here, Gregor. Yes, we are definitely talking Balblair. Absolutely. I bet you like some Balblair with your particular taste buds. I would guess you would. Let me see if I've missed anybody else in. But yeah, thanks all for being here. So we'll kind of get into this. So vintage versus age statement. Uh, Coming in on at the time new to whiskey, I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to that. I didn't pay a lot of attention to things that now I look for and really try to grab, or learn more about. And it wasn't until, talking to Mike Smush, the Scotch for Dummy guys, and just kind of getting into different whiskeys that I even realized, and this is granted 7-8 years ago, that you would just, some did things in the vintage world, and then some would do things in an actual age statement. Though most of the vintages, you could do the math. It wasn't that hard to do some math. So if you, for example, we're going our first, actually, let me flip this back up. So Gregor, did I see that correctly? So you got a vintage 05 for $30. Wow. And most is, yes, and it's a 10-year-old. I was about to say, most of these are like 10 years and older. Some of these are 17 or 16. Wow. That's really something. That's really good. And yeah, I mean, considering I know what you do for a living, you can do some math, Chris. But vintages do make you do the math. And I think sometimes, maybe marketing wise, they think people aren't going to do the math in the, liquor store aisle. Maybe that was a reason. And Bob Blair's not the only ones that do that too. I mean, I've got a couple of other distilleries I think about. One particular is a Lowland that's like really sought after. Let me know in the chat who you think that one is. But they primarily do vintages, right? Again, that year that it was put into the cask, for sure. I see Donner. Is Donner in? Hey, friend. Good to see you. I see Donald Rance is in. Hello. Nice to see you too. And Graham is in. Hello, Graham. Thanks for being here. I know you probably have a couple of opinions about this too. Awesome. So yeah, our first one that we're going to go with, and I've poured all of these ahead of time, is, let's do this, because I got slides and I'm like professional and stuff, right? I kind of look like I'm kind of dressed like a librarian tonight with my little cardigan, and we're going to talk today about age statement versus vintages. So yeah, let's get to the presentation. So matching my my shirt here, my jacket. First set of drams, I just kind of want to go over like thoughts about them, and just overall tastes for either one of them. Is a Balblair 2001. So it was released in 2012. It was the second release that year. ex-bourbon cask. Um, I'm going to call it 12ish, might be 11. Kind of depends on when in each of those years things happened. And the 12 year, those are our first two. So I'm going to work on those. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to put glasses on. I can't see nothing today. So, Gregor, I'm going to ask you to go a little bit further on that. The Balblair got less interesting to you soon as they moved away from the vintages and became one of the crowd. Why so? Why? So, I would love to know from you or anybody else what you felt going from vintage to age statement did. That actually occurred in 2019. And when it did, I love how marketing speak comes up and it talks about, well, we have a new era for Balblair. And I don't mean to be picking on Balblair because I'm sure there's others that have done this. But I so know marketing speak when I hear it. And I love this one term. It's to reinvigorate. Well, that tells me you thought you needed to shoot something in the arm and get it going again. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the vintages. So interesting how that is perceived. Very interesting. So this one is, both of them are ex-bourbon cask, the 11, 12-ish vintage versus the 12-year release. I believe that came out in 2019. And this would be a 2019 version, just so you know. So the vintage, very malty, got a little citrus, like a little grapefruit on it, on the nose. Now, Balblair's in the Highlands. And it's old, y'all. It's old. 1790, I think. Is that right? Yeah, 1790. It is one of 9 that are still in production that were from the 1700s. It's the 4th oldest distillery. Very close up toward Inverness. I just missed it on last summer's trip, which I kind of kicked myself for. But I ended up going to Dornoch instead. Okay, very big difference in the 12 nose. I'm getting like a lot of hay and like a sour mash on this. Or sweeter on the nose for the 12. I need to like double fisting these things here. That's interesting. Okay. So let me catch up here and see who all Graham, you missed the vintages? Oh, you still missed them. I thought you like missed them altogether. Yeah, I bet. So have they run their course there? Are they harder to find? Because I know that they're still in the States, bits and pieces. This tells the tale, folks. What? Tell me you like the vintages without telling me like the vintages, Graham. You have 20 of them stashed. Okay. Well, I know the town that you live in, so that gets me a little closer to finding said stash. So, okay, that tells me one thing there, right? Goodness. Yeah. So that's a big point too, Chris. Lots of changes happened right before COVID with that. Our friend Steph, who was a big part of the Inver House ambassador program, was our go-to person for Balblair, and of course Old Pulteney. The Old Pulteney. Old Pulteney pulled, the 21 and 17. They had the 12, but then they flipped that, went to a 15 and an 18. Prices went up. Not so sure that the quality stayed there on that particular brand line. And then what happened is this one comes through too, and they tweak, they reinvigorate Balblair with age statements. Again, kind of making a cookie cutter, huh? I think valid to Gregor's point on that, like everybody else. I don't particularly like being like everybody else, clearly. I prefer the nose on the O1. This smells a little swampy on on the 12. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna let chat catch up while I have a sip. So talk amongst yourselves. This is O1. Pretty bright, very sweet, which is kind of a trait for Balblair, right? Very sweet. Got a little spice on it. All of these are 46 that we're going to have tonight. That's kind of where they roll. That was another disappointing moment for Old Pulteney when Inverhouse did some changes. Their 12 went down in ABV here. I think it was a variation difference between us and the UK for a while. We were getting the 46 or we were getting the 43 and they were getting the 40. And same thing with Anok 12. And now we're getting the base 40, which boo hiss. I don't like that. Okay. So, all right. Sweetness, really sweet, like confectioner sugar sweet, not so much fruit sweet. Really oily. Well, kind of, not really. I just saw the rundown, the legs on that. It almost has like a minty or mentholy aftertaste. Not off-putting, just very different, odd. Have a sip. All right. Now, first sip of the Balblair 12. Again, it's just really like yeasty. Hay, wet hay. And this is more savory. Not as sweet. That's not bad though. Very different. The O1, super sweet on the front end. Had a little warmth to it. I wouldn't call it really spice. If anything, it was probably a little ginger, maybe a little cinnamon. Dissipated quickly and went into that kind of menthol thing. The sweetness is hanging on to the very end. I mean, like all through the finish. Nose definitely prefer the O1, but taste is pretty. This is pretty good sipping stuff. Just that nose is a little funky on the front end. That was surprising to me, is the nose on that one. Let's see what everybody else is saying. Graham's talking about the Balblair vintages are very different with every release, right? So this is the 01 from the second release of 01, and that was ex-bourbon. Others could be, sherry cask or bourbon and sherry, which are going to be our next drams, bourbon and sherry maturation. Just very kind of all over the place. And you definitely have to go with the route of consistency, right? So the 12 is strictly ex-bourbon. The 15 is ex-bourbon and sherry. So it's going to be that. I would imagine trying to handle, coming up with what are we going to be selling and making sure you have the cask management system there to take care of it. Going to an age statement is far easier than just batting, because it's not single cask, right? By vintage, it's not that. It's batted by vintage, and then constantly coming up with those different flavor profiles. So business wise, I mean, yeah, you can understand um, that big time. So you think there's a big price difference? I kind of think like from what they were to what you can do them now. Yeah, it probably did like a price bump. I mean, certainly Old Pulteney did. Absolutely, Peter. Um, absolutely. Um, so the vintage, so thank you. Celebrated nuance and uniqueness, which is what we aficionados thrive. Absolutely. We like new and different. We like different and quirky, right? That's why we're all on this show tonight, because we're all different and quirky, and that's the best part of all of it. But age statements are all about the control and consistency. Yawn central. Only thing that would have made that better is if you'd have hashtagged it. That's awesome, Gregor. Yeah, I get it. I really do. I do. It's I understand they're there to pay to make money. You know, they got to pay bills. They've been rocking and rolling since 1790, off a couple of years for shutdowns here and there, but they've got to have an enormous stock. They put out what was so their yield is 1.8 million liters a year, right? So they're they're putting out a lot of whiskey, and to manage all of that, it's going to be a whole lot easier to make a age statement than a vintage. I haven't seen it yet. Did anybody guess the lowlands I was talking about that does vintages currently? Um, and yes, Mark Broda. Hey, my buddy, another swamp gator is in. I have that poured as well. That's my Jacadora Stram, which I butchered the Gaelic, but that's how I remember it. That one is really, really, really good. So thanks for being here. Um, hey, Don. Yeah. Reinvigorate the brand. I love that. Isn't that just, it is. It does, well, that's true. Yeah, I can see that. It's hard to it's hard to justify. You want to try to make it, but the other part of it is these are 46% ABV, right? Most of us are all cast strength folks. I understand that. So this is not always for maybe just our market, right? It's probably a step above entry level folks that are sticking down around the 40 ABV. Um, Crash, but it's not really the enthusiast side of it. I think again, to Graham's point, that's what made things so interesting, is being able to um, see all these new different caskings, or having that year version of it come through. So I think that's really pretty cool. Definitely. Did I see somebody I know? Yes. Hey, honey, we miss you very much. It took about 2 days for the dog to quit looking for you. But yes, greetings, my sweet husband from England. So he is having a fine time, I can promise you. But we are looking forward to getting him back home. Okay, so bottom line, I'm not mad at either one of these. 2001 to 2012, the second release. I believe I actually prefer the 12 on the palate. The nose 2001 is my preference. But drinking it, it feels pretty balanced, It isn't overly sweet, where I find the 01 very sweet. The 12 is much more balanced between a savory sweet note and I'm taking my glasses off, y'all, because I get hot. A savory sweet note, a nice little finish, and maybe I just needed to give it a little bit more air on the front end of the nose because the nose was something. It was really something. Hey, Mark Broda, every day is a celebration. Um, Good to see you. Gregor's like, have you found the crown jewels yet? No, unfortunately not. Although he has found a few things I wouldn't mind making some jewelry out of. Just gonna say. We'll see that. Camp keeper across the pond. Yep, he's what's really funny is there's 3 guys from South Louisiana over there. 2 from Lafayette and Mark from Baton Rouge. I don't know if they know what to do with themselves with all the Cajun influence over there, but they're all having fun. And Trooper, you'll love this. Like what, Mario, was the first, second, or third day y'all were there, and it was raining, and like half the people were like, "Oh, we're gonna go back to the hotel. We're not gonna mess with this." The 3 dudes from Louisiana is like, "We got rain suits. This ain't nothing. Let's get out there." It was just like, I'm so proud of my, and I'm so happy Mark's getting to do that and have fun. That's a really big deal. Um, Very big deal. I love it. So, yes, they are for purists who celebrate the differences. Absolutely, absolutely. And like, so everyone's saying to me, the older are perfect dusties. You've seen the 21 and 21, 23-year old. Yep. But they're not going to be at that price point, right? There's some where the shop owners haven't jacked them up, but yeah, definitely. Daffmeal was who I was thinking about. Yeah. Daffmeal. So when you say Holyrood, so they're doing their single cask as vintages. Because I haven't seen a single cask yet. So and I haven't paid attention too closely, evidently, to the labeling of the ones that have come out that I can't get. So that's good. I do know for folks in the US, particularly for Holyrood, Scotch drinkers only, promise you it's not a plug, but they're going to start pulling in Holyrood. And they're going to have some arrival still, which is their inaugural release. Because some of these things are so very hard to get over here. So that's really pretty cool. I'm excited about that. Yeah, that's what we always try to go find the Dusties, right? I know Broda, last time we've all been together, we try to hit every little mom and pop whatever to try to find which ones, if there's something on a bottom shelf or in a back room somewhere, and see. So yeah, so Ember House 2019 did all this, kind of shook things up. Absolutely love me some dusty hunting. I know you do. Hey, I'll buy that with an inch of dust on the top of it. Okay, Graham, thanks for confirming that their casks are all single casks are aged, and not age statements, but they're vintages. Okay, gotcha. Awesome. And yeah, I saw that they were coming out with a Daffmeal was coming out with a winter. I've got a summer one, ironically bought for a Christmas present. But yeah, yes, honey, please go to sleep. You don't have to be like Graham tonight and be up at 2 a.m. But thank you, darling. Y'all, big slanja y'all for Mark getting up, supporting his wife all the way from freaking England. I love you, honey, and we'll see you in 5 sleeps. Okay. So yeah, he's been having a great time, y'all. I'm so thrilled that he did that for himself. He's worked hard all his life, and now he's having a fun time. Okay, so our next set, dun dun dun, is here. And it's Balblair 1999. We're going to party like a 1999. Bottled in 2016. 16-ish, 15, 16-ish, depending on the years and like dates. I guess at least 16, 17, maybe, depending. And ex-bourbon sherry. Again, the second release for 2016. Up against the 15-year ex-sherry, ex-bourbon, ex-sherry. And I found it interesting because the one that Mark Rhoda has on, he's having tonight, the 90. Mark, unless it's a different variation, it was bottled in 90, distilled in 90, bottled in 2013 is the sample Mike gave me. And that one also is a bourbon and then sherry. So it seems like some of their older maturations kind of had that particular combo, which I find also interesting. They have such a, probably most everything's going in bourbon first, right? And then they can go and play with the whiskey later on that. Oh, hey, Tom's in Whiskey and Wine Trails, and Joe come. Nice to see you, Joe. Slancha. Okay, well, I'm getting a hint. So the 99, get a really nice sherry note and like almond paste. That's odd, but nice. It's not off-putting. So let me know in the comments if you have either one of these or what you're drinking. If you're not drinking Balblair, what are you drinking? Yeah, so let me know what you are having, what you enjoy, or if you have a particular Balblair that you really like. I love this. You know, as many of you in the chat know, Graham is in Stirling, Scotland. And he says, now Mark knows the sacrifices are catching up here at 2 a.m. So y'all are both troopers. I appreciate it. Very much so. Oh, wow. So Balblair 15. So I got 99 and 15. Vintage 99, year 15. 15 is really tropical notes on that. I need to move this fan. It's getting in my way of my aromas. Yeah, that's a I have to come back to that. So I've heard about the 99, but could never find it anywhere. You know, again, there's a couple of them, right? This one had a green box. Another one might have a red box. Googling, doing the searches on the casking. It almost was like I need flashcards on what the bottles look like of the ones I was interested in. So if you do find a dusty, it's a little out there. But you know, like Gregor's point, I mean, he found a really reasonable bottle. 05 for what'd you say, $30? The dusties are out there, but I would imagine even on auction, these aren't too bad. For the vintages, the price points for the other ones, I'm not quite sure. So you're saying that, let me get down to that one. Woof, 160 for the 15? At 46%? Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. I wonder about your market. It might be a little higher too. So, Broda, we're gonna be drinking the same thing. I ain't got there yet. That's gonna be my at the end. Okay. Oh, we're getting the scoop on Dramface. Has some Glenmorangie and Glenallachie and Electric 10. Ooh, that's nice. I'm really proud of you, Gregor, for taking one for the team to have to do all that type of homework to make great content. It's a burden, right? It's an absolute burden. Okay, so this is the 99. Every time I say that, I just think of Prince. Can't tell it. It's far spicier on the end than you would think of 46, but then whoa, mellows really nicely. Just mm. Well, I'm glad you found the 15 for 125ish in Texas. Everything's cheaper in Texas. we're going to Houston in December for the Christmas party for my company, and I've already recruited a couple of other folks to go to Smith Street Specs downtown. Again, very sweet. I get a little bit more fruit on this than the 12. Being with the sherry maturation, I don't know how long it was again in sherry. I would imagine predominantly it was in bourbon and then a sherry cask. But it has a little bit more fruitiness to it, more like a fresh plum or I don't really say raspberries or or maybe even a little cherry, but not the confectioner sugar that I got on the 01. I think that sherry comes out. There's what is that? Yeah, little that fruit, plum. I don't know about the cherry now, but it kind of mellows out into a little savoriness. Tastes a little bit of oak on the end, but not too oaky. And all of these samples have been full and locked up tight. So I'm not too worried about oxidation for as long as I've had them. I'm pretty certain they were poured from substantial pour bottles instead of dregs. Let's see. So the price, oops, sorry. So the price of pre-2000 Balblair has increased quite a lot in the auctions. Oh, okay. Yeah, I would guess. Because the further we get away from 2000, 24 years now, almost 25. Yeah, I can see where that would be a big deal and get that. So the 90 that you had was on auction and it had a Bulgarian tax stamp. That's awesome. Oh man, there you go. That's great. That's great. Well, yeah, so time for a Dram Gregor, the host of the Dram Face podcast. It looks like he's working on some fun stuff for a season closer on chocolate just in time for the holidays. Y'all did a whole thing on cheese and whiskeys and matching the cheeses with whiskey, which I thought was really interesting. Scott Monroe cracked me up on those. So check out Dram Face, listen to the absolutely fabulous accent of Mr. Time for a Dram Gregor and all of his other cohorts that he has on. So the nose on the 15, I was getting a lot of tropical notes at first. Y'all tell me y'all have had some of these. Tell me what you get on this stuff. This is far more sherry forward than the 99 was. Very drying at the end, where the 99 was not as that wine tannic kind of dryness. More fruit sweetness, more like cooked fruit as opposed to fresh fruit. More spice on the front end, where it was a little bit on the back. This is sticking around. This is hanging around. And again, these are at 46 ABV. So I'm going to attribute that spice probably more to the cask than I am, of course, the ABV, because 46 is usually lightweight for me. Mm. So that's interesting. Fun fact. We get all the good facts, right, from Graham, that the Balblair casks are matured solely in the dunnage warehouses at the distillery site. Wow. I mean, that's a pretty big place. It's I know you've been there probably more times than you can count, Graham, but it's very pretty. I mean, it looks, from the pictures I've seen, like I said, just missed out on actually going there. So Inverhouse has also, we talked about Old Pulteney, we talked about Anna. That's one, I think after they did this to Old Pulteney, then Balblair, it was like waiting for bated breath. Please don't touch Enoch. please don't touch not do. I really like my Enoch 12. Absolutely adore my Enoch 18. I believe the 24 is up for an OSWA. If I remember all of the categories. Speaking of, you only have a few more days to vote for the OSWAs. Please do that. Please log on if you have not voted, and vote the categories you feel good about. There's an option to not vote on a category, but do that, because it is the only way, the only award that's being given where the people have a say, and it's not in some competition where the producers actually pitch themselves or enter into this competition. The OSWAs are for us. The online Scotch Whiskey Awards, the ones that we're the ones that drink this. It's you can have a selection. The selection of the nominees are on there, and you can write in who you want. If one of those you want to write in again, write it in. Or if there was a completely different bottle for that category you want to nominate and vote for, you can do it there. And I love it. Voting is very important. Thank you, Joe. It's Johnny on the spot. Joe on the spot. It ends this Sunday. Yeah, folks in the U.S., don't get caught on the time difference on shutting that down. Do it early. I would say do it early and often. You can do it, and then you go back and you can make some tweaks to it, but it's going to lock down and not let you in after the 20th. So it's very important. Yeah. So, Balblair. So, Graham, really? Well, I could see that. So, Balblair, of all their 5 distilleries, so we talked about Knockdew. Balmenic is the other one. So, Speyburn, Balmenic, Knockdew, and Pulteney all have worm tubs. Okay. Oh, I just love the geekiness of that knowledge. Absolutely. I mean, yay. So if you're having fun, hit the like button. If no other reason, you got all kinds of good tidbits from our contributing I can make you a contributing reporter, can I? Or our correspondent in Scotland, Graham Fraser. But yeah, hit the like button. That really helps y'all tremendously. It does. Hey, Too Slow. Yeah, you're usually the first one in here. It's good to see you. I'm glad you were able to join us. Yeah, so the 15, it's 99s. I like them all. So back to the differentiation between the vintage and age statements. Both these vintages have been corky. So it holds to the idea of, variations of cask um, management and being able to kind of play with their whiskey a little bit more. They're not kind of run of the mill. While the 12 and the 15 are very solid. So they're, to me, they feel much more orchestrated. Um, both the 12 and the 15th taste more balanced than their counterpart vintages. But again, I probably I could see that totally as a reason of being consistent and probably being able to bat more of it for that release in that year of that age statement. Um, so the balance is there. It would be interesting to know, like, did their blenders change at that time? Or I'm gonna have to dig into that a little bit more. I really enjoy all of them. I like the quirkiness of the vintages. I think sometimes we do kind of get hung up on the old way of things and the new kind of way of things. Oh, that's not going to be any better. Um, Last show when Kevin was here and we were going through these really old, closed distillery drams, and we were able to have a Brora and a Port Ellen and a Rosebank. It's like that's what it was then. So, how are they going to hang their hat on their new whiskey with the base of what people think a Brora should be or a Port Ellen? Like in 5, 10, whatever years they decide to actually release their whiskey on these restart up um, distilleries, how are, I'm very interested in seeing how the first 5-year or 8-year Brora is going to taste up against what people have in their brain as what a Brora is. Um, and all of that high price that comes with that is all based over the fact that enthusiasts went crazy over it. And now it's, a luxury brand, which I call BS on. Anyway, hey, Ian's here. Good morning. Good morning, evening, morning. If I can be a bad influence on you for day drinking, Ian, Sanja, tell me what you like about if you have any Balblair and like it. But yeah, so yeah, the 15, I'm I'm enjoying that. Dun, 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 dun. So again, thanks to my buddy Mike Highfield, um, who is an absolute Bob Blair fanboy, and I can see that. But they're all really pretty sweet, right? And for someone who loves bourbon, that's right up their alley. So that's really that's that's it. I can get that. Mm. Ooh, what a great word, sumptuous. A 25-year Bob Blair. Wow. Had nice for 650 pounds a bottle. Wow. I'm glad you got to taste that. Um, yeah. That's probably about 800, 8, 8, 800, 830, something like that, US dollars. But dark fruits, leather, wax. Love a worm tub. God, I love a warm tub. Uh. Mm-mm. No Balblair. Oh dear. But you've been there. Of course you have. So Broda, I don't know if you're still on, but this last dram is a 1990. And big shout out at how cool these labels are. Distilled in 1990, bottled in 2013. So it's already 11 years past bottling. 46% ABV, as all the others. But this is it, the Balblair and the Highland. Such neat little. They even did the low case 19. Gregor, that's some points, right? And then the uppercase 90, just like it is on the bottle and on the box. This is ex bourbon and then sherry. Oh me. So this is 23 years. Not quite 25, and certainly not 650 pounds. So Ian was lucky enough to be there all by himself during the distillery tour. How nice. Even allowed to go sit at the SCADA. Now, SCADA in my world means data collection. What is that? Oh man. Well, God love your wife and $2. I'm sure that you've done a couple things that they enjoyed that you didn't actually like doing it. They're supporting their dad. That's awesome. This one is really winey smells. I think I need a little bit more in my glass here. I wasn't quite sure how I'd be doing after four drams. This has got a really nice nose to it. This is much more stewed fruit, but very malty as well. It's got a little, what is that? Little doughy malt. Man, I did not clean these glasses very well. I got spots all over them. And thinking about things coming up whiskey wise in the future. I saw on Instagram that there's still a couple of sets for those in the States, particularly for the Lady of the Glen tasting with their folks through Scotch Drinkers Only on October 26th. I got mine. I'm so excited. I'll be there to do that tasting. I'm just so thrilled. We're getting some of these independent bottlings over here that we've not been able to get because the suitcase only holds so much and I can only get over to Scotland so often. I know I can have stuff shipped, but it's kind of one of those things I want to be there and I want to be able to have access to it and not always get it over from overseas that way. So that's on the 26th. Check out that for details or the Scotch Drinkers Only interview that I did last month, and the links will be in there. Graham, you are to have one or two fabulous drams for me, please, at the Glasgow Whiskey Festival in a couple weeks. God, was so fortunate to be able to do that last year, and it was absolutely amazing. Graham and I had spent a lovely day going up to Deanston and to Calendar to see the Grail, the Whiskey Grail, and those fabulous women, and it was so much fun. We had so much fun that day. So please, and Gregor will be there. Holy smoke, I forgot. Gregor's going to be there. Time for a dram. So the two of you are charged with having a really good dram for me and then letting me know what you had since I will not be there this year. Um, but I know that won't be a problem or burdensome for you. But find a nice odd dram and have it for me and do a slange y'all and send it to me, or do a selfie with it and send it to me while I sit in Louisiana and have FOMO of you enjoying the Glasgow Whiskey Festival. And that's the second weekend, second Saturday in November. So that's coming up. Our next show is the first Tuesday of November. It's a really big day, y'all. Got a little thing. We talked about the OSWAs and how important it is to vote. Yay. Glad you accepted it, Gregor. The first Tuesday is November 5th. Two things happen on November 5th. Number one, it is election day. It is election day. This channel is not political. It's not going to be political. It's not going to start. It's not going to finish. We're not doing political. But the most important part about that day, let's say, to me, it's my freaking birthday. So we're rolling out the good stuff, and we're going to start with Springbank. Jennifer is going to be my guest on that Tuesday, November 5th, my birthday. We're going to be celebrating. We are exchanging our Springbank blended bottles that we each blended. So she's going to have some of mine. I'm going to have some of hers. So we can go and kind of talk about that. It's just going to be fun. I want everybody to come say happy birthday. God bless America, and just enjoy an hour of fun. And then we'll deal with the world after the show. But yeah, would love to see all of y'all come back for my birthday on November 5th. And but yeah, we'll have a good time with that. Yes, planning. So next year you're planning on going, Tom, with side trips to Island, Campbelltown. Yeah, that's beautiful to do that. Absolutely beautiful. On my next trip, where are we going, Graham? On my next trip, Dalmore Ardros. I'm gonna say Tuvalu, Glenmorangie. Did that one. Balblair Distilleries. I went to buy the shop. I didn't do the distillery there. I will absolutely be happy. And I know that I told you I made that purchase today, so we'll see how that goes for timing. But I'm definitely looking at my next trip, big trip. Hopefully will be in the late September, October range. But before Glasgow. So not so sure I'll make Glasgow Whiskey Festival next week, but yeah. So Ian, I think we talked about this before. You're the controller of the valve operations for the still run. Yes. I would love to see a picture of that. So the way I work as a technical writer for an automation controls company. That's how I pay for whiskey. So when I saw SCADA, I was like, oh man, like what's the SCADA points going back into what controller? Is it a Allen Bradley? Is it a Siemens? Is it Honeywell? See, hey, know what I'm talking about. Delta V, Yokogawa. We have to talk shop sometime. But yeah, I would love to see a picture of that, Ian. That's awesome. I know when I've gone on distillery tours, I've gone through the control room and I'm like, yeah, we do that. Yeah, we do that. We do that too, you know. We've actually worked on the controls for a very, I don't want to say the name, but a very popular beer brand in Louisiana. So we'll go there. That's what I'm talking about. Gregor accepted the brief, but you're going to find the stuff under the table. That's my man. That's my man. Graham, thank you very much. Oh gosh, y'all. I hope this has been fun. You know, I would say find what you like and don't get so hung up on, you know, the vintage. There's definitely a difference. The vintages were much more quirky. The The age statements were much more, I would still say more balanced, but also a little homogeneous, right? They were a little um, more for the masses than for the quirky palate. Uh, but that's okay. That's what makes it fun to investigate all this different whiskey. This 90 is like raisins and like so raisins and plums, cinnamon, much denser flavor than than the 16ish one, the 99. Pretty good. Well, folks, thank you very much for being here and enjoying another wonderful Tuesday night together. Again, next time will be my birthday. It's gonna be my birthday. Gonna be my birthday. I don't want to tell you how old I am, but it's near impossible to find whiskey as old as me now. At least we can afford. Thanks for all the supporters. We had so many of the Camp Drammers on tonight. We've had so many of our Patreon folks. Please stick around for a few more seconds. Watch the credits. You'll get a kick out of these great graphics. And thank everybody who's supporting us. We're doing some fun stuff on the channel, and I appreciate it. So I will see you on my birthday. Until then, do well, drink better, and sláinte y'all.